I'm Anthony Gonzalez. I'm the founder and CEO of Handoff. We provide recruiting and staffing services for the cultural housing industry. Been over 200 placements, been around 4 years, and saving our clients on average about $50,000 per year for hire.
I'm Castro. I'm the VP of BI Automations at Handoff. My main role is making sure that everything is sweet out of our operations team, that we're leveraging technology. When I first started at Handoff, we started talking about how I was going to use AI and automations. The public conversation around AI is very anti-human. It's very much about cannibalizing your workforce, bringing AI in to replace your human. And our business model is very much related to human-to-human connection. We couldn't afford to kind of remove the human relationship from our business model. We like a lean company, but we don't want to be a lonely company. And we work in an industry that is relationship-based. We feel that human-to-human connections was one of our best assets. We weren't looking to replace that. So it was a little bit different to start that conversation. When the national conversation was definitely converted opposite of what we were wanting. So when I first started, I shadowed the sales team, kind of figured out what they were going to do. We had a goal of empowering our sales team with AI and automations. So at first, when we discovery call this book, if someone's booking with us, what we noticed is the sales team would just instantly go into their browsers. 10, 20, 30 tabs were open. It was very difficult for them to see what they were doing. They were looking to do contact enrichment, company enrichment. They wanted to find as much information they can and be prepared for that meeting. But it was a bit difficult. You know, we had this scattered approach. They would use Google Docs as templates to kind of gather all the information and talking about and they would discuss their communications. A lot of times it was just a screenshot or like a notes app that they have, or it's an email where they highlighted things, and they were just sharing a lot of stuff over Slack or Teams app. And on top of it all, never ever did they update the CRM.
Right.
By the time you get into the meeting, you would want to do some prep for it, and you look into the CRM, you wouldn't really know. You know, you'd have to go and search that person, and you would have a meeting with that person about an hour before a sales call. And all you really found out on that sales call is you were not prepared for this call. Nobody knew what to do. You know, our sales team had to rely on their charisma more than they did on our company strategy. It works for us because we have a pretty charismatic staff, but that's not a solution for everybody. We found out that we really needed to help our sales team be more focused in the environment. We needed to free up their time so they can have more bandwidth to have more sales calls. What we ended up doing with a lot of our work, we took a lot of their computer chores away from them. We update our CRM automatically now. We go and research and find contact information, company enrichment. We provide summaries and teardowns for everything for our sales team. And then what it's allowed them to do is have conversations that are about revenue generating things. They're not having conversations about maintenance, retaining the back end. They're having conversations about bringing more sales in, talking to more humans, and getting a human-to-human connection, leading to more of our business sales. Our team, when I started, was wearing too many hats. We were doing data analysis, data synthesis, data hunting, data synthesizing. It was just too many things, and nobody got to really focus on their mission. We were focusing on what happens today, today's past, and we weren't focusing on growing our business. It really slowed us down, and one of the main things we really wanted to bring to this was freeing up our leadership team so they can focus on these tasks. Instead of focusing on these tasks, they wanted to focus on growing our business.
What are the top things right now that are a time suck for you in your business? Meeting prep, follow-ups, maybe something related to operations. We're mostly focused on sales today, but would love to get an idea if there's one time suck, pop a word in there and you see we have. Okay. All right. Let's go with meeting prep. All right, meeting prep just can tend to be quite a pain. I think a lot of times it just doesn't even happen the right way, right? You just hop in, maybe try to research the company or the contact really quickly before you hop in a call, and you make it happen, but it probably can be a lot better. You can have a higher closing conversion if you actually walk into that prepared. So we're going to talk to you today about how we're going to focus on when someone books a call until we actually have the meeting. So we have a whole click to close automation that leads all the way up to the after the meeting, post meeting follow up, nudge sequences, but we only have so much time. So we're just going to focus on someone has booked a discovery call with us. But before automating, like garbage in, garbage out, right? So you got to make sure that you have your processes in place. It doesn't have to be something scientific that you need to do. It can be sticky notes, whiteboard. There's applications like Miro where you can do digital, whiteboard activities with sticky notes. But just look at the actual use case that you're thinking of automating. See where there's repetition. Focus on stuff where you probably don't need a human in the loop. That it's not gonna piss off a client if something breaks. Like focus on things that are maybe less risky in the beginning. And then from there, you want to really also make sure that whoever's actually doing the work is involved in this process. So don't do it from a leadership level, when you're not actually the one doing the work. You got to make sure you have the right stakeholders in there to map everything out, map every step of that process out. If you have a real time, like an actual meeting that's coming up, and actually do the work that you're preparing for it and just document everything that you're doing. That's a good way to figure out what all the steps are and what the actual goals will be for each automation. There's a ton of different tools out there. We use Naten, N8N, as our orchestration layer, but there's a bunch. There's Lindy, there's Make.com, there's a lot of different options. So we're talking about what we do, but it's up to you what tool is going to work best in your organization. And these are some of the main key areas that we're automating that I'll walk you through in a moment here. That are some of the things that Jake mentioned. We kind of broke them out into these different pillars. Each of these different areas of the business could have anywhere from 40 or 50 touch points that are being automated, typically taking us from the meeting being booked to actually have the call is about 3 hours of work that we see that we were able to automate into about 40 seconds. Okay, but there's a lot of stuff. It's really hard to show what the automations look like because there are all these different little nodes and it's kind of behind the scene in our back end. So I'm just going to talk to you. So I'm a sales guy, right? That's my entire background. I spent 7 years at Synergy Global Housing leading global sales. And so I know the pain, of having a big responsibility to bring a bunch of revenue and then still having a bunch of sales operations, administrative stuff that has to get done, and built a team to be able to support those things. But I also want the team to not have to focus on computer chores either, to be able to spend time in areas where there's going to be more impact. So today, when someone books a discovery call with us, right when they click into that link and book the call, it sets off a reaction of a bunch of different automations. First thing that happens is the attendees that need to be in that meeting are added. So always our sales development specialist is going to be added. Our Firefly's AI note taker is added to the meeting. Then from there, we look back through all previous communications within the organization. Google Workspace is their name in a Google Doc, a spreadsheet, email communications, Slack, Notion, anywhere that we might have discussed the prospect, or maybe it's a secondary call that we're meeting with someone, we can see exactly where we left off with them. Maybe we haven't met with them yet. All of the information about the company is researched. So their website, LinkedIn, Google News, just anything that could be useful to understand about their business that will help us, be set up and prepared for the call. And then anyone that's attending the call, they're also researched. So their job history, their LinkedIn, etc. From there, we have a API with OpenAI. So all of that information is then organized based on the prompt structure that we set. So we can basically get a proposed agenda and how we should approach that call. So where did we leave off? Here's the information about the company. Here's the information about the contact. And the AI knows what Handoff does, right? That we have, nearshore talent, the roles that are most popular. So it will try to look at this company, open positions that they have, and really kind of cater how we should approach the call to be reflective of the services that we want to offer and the pain that we hopefully can solve for that customer. All of that then is distilled into a Slack channel. So once that's complete in 40 seconds, pings the Slack. It creates a new Slack channel with that company name as a prospect and adds all the team in there that needs to see what's going on. And then 24 hours before the call, we get another ping, and then an hour before, we get another ping with all the information in there. So that before, we had a video, which was crazy, and sorry, Hasmin, she had to actually go through all of this painstaking manual work again to make this video, which was really hard for her to do because it's all automated now. She's like, why would we do that? I was like, no, you have to put it all in a Google Doc. We need to show the audience what this looks like. So sped up, it was like still like multiple minutes long, and it just showed all these different screens, from Fireflies to Google to our CRM. Oh, I forgot the CRM. See, I'm always forgetting to update the CRM. It updates the CRM. So the CRM is updated once that person books the call. It takes all the enrichment that we get from Apollo and from OpenAI, puts all that information into our CRM. I think those are probably the main areas. Yeah.
Like Anthony said, when we built this, we really wanted to focus on building a modular system. So although it may look like it's one system on here, each one of these columns work independently of each other. We can deploy one column at a time. We can deploy multiple columns at a time. However we decide to use this is very simple for us once it's deployed. It's literally a copy and paste. It's really easy to go. To break this down a little bit more, I'll show you another one. This is one column. This is one kind of example we do with company research. Our automation, all it takes to feed it is one site's address, all your URL. From there, we can parse out so much information. We can find Google News on you. We can find what jobs you have posted through Google Jobs. It posts LinkedIn, Indeed, searches all now. We get a lot of company enrichment from Apollo. There's a very, very solid enrichment possibility, and we get that through an API, so we can do that through the back end the whole time. We also like to look in LinkedIn. We want to find out as much information about the decision makers in the company. Just because you're reaching out to us might not mean that you're the decision maker. So we want to make sure that when we go into that sales call, we're familiar with all the names in your business. We want to be familiar with your C-suite structure. We want to know everybody hits there because we want to be able to relate to you in that way. We check your LinkedIn activity. We find, like I mentioned, we find these decision makers. When we get all of that, we synthesize, we use a logical. At this point, we've not used AI yet. We've just decided what information is important to us, and we gathered it. We use another system, or you basically write our own prompts. You're saying, this is who we are, this is what we do. Here's the information we know about this specific client, this specific company. Please synthesize this in a way that we can distill information that way. On our output, all we give it is a URL. Within 10 seconds, we have a complete enriched company CRM package that is ready to write in any CRM possible. We have a Google News report or Google Jobs report, and we have complete decision maker profiles. We know everything about your C-suite, where they work, how long they worked there, projects that they worked on, things that they bragged about their accomplishments on their LinkedIn. It shows up in our automations. We also get a huge company teardown. This is incredibly important for our sales team because a lot of our relationships we have is from our CEO. He's been in this industry a long time. He's got tons of relationships. If you've seen over here, feels like every 10 minutes someone has to come up and give him a hug. He's just very popular in this space, but our sales associates don't have that same background. They don't have those same relationships that they can rely on. They can't recall all the 10, 20 years of company information right off the top of their head. So that company teardown has been one of the most useful things for our sales conversations. They can go in and then know exactly what to talk about.
So we just wanted to get an idea from the audience, who's looking to integrate AI this year, if you already have, or what's AI? It's you can start small. It's not something that you should be afraid of. There's I think you just got to get in it, right? Pick something within the company that is just taking a lot of time, something that when you say, when you have to do something, think about that, whatever that thing is, that you probably should try to automate it. We're going to leave you guys with a playbook that's specific to this automation that Jake just walked through, which is the company enrichment and the contact enrichment. It's a fairly simple automation, I would say. I don't want to say simple, but I mean, out of all the other automations that we were talking about. So you can potentially try to automate something like that on your own by leveraging that playbook. I'm going to pop up a QR code here if you guys want to grab that. We're also right here at booth 308. Hopefully some of you have had the opportunity to charge up with some of this amazing coffee from Johnny Beans. They won the award in 1994 for best coffee in Austin.